Welcome to Lindau. My name is Gudula von Hartz and I'm taking you for a tour across our beautiful town. And here we are at the harbor. This was built 1856 at a time when Lindau already belonged to Bavaria. Before it was a free imperial town because of this its importance as a trading town at Lake Constance.
No.
This tower over there is the old lighthouse. It was built in the 12th century already, and it was actually standing alone in the water. And those houses behind were built only in the 19th century, and then the tower was connected with the main island. And it was open. It only reached up to the yellow area up there in the Middle Ages, and with open fire, people in Lindau made themselves visible to the people on the lake, to the sailors. And then what we see now was added in the 19th century, the yellow part, and also this beautiful, colorful roof. The houses are hotels around the tower built in the 19th century, but on the left you see our station, and the station was built at the beginning of the 20th century, but there was a station before because it was a very important station since, of course, the 19th century when the first railways were built, as a trading place also, and even the trains were loaded on boats. We call it traject, and they were loaded on boats here on the side and then brought to the other side by boat of the lake with all the goods they transported. Lindau became a trading town because of this ideal geographical situation. This mountain over there is the eastern end of Lake Constance, and the mountain reached directly into the water with a very heavy rock. And only when this rock was blasted off, 1830, then the first road could be built to the other side of the lake. And so the important trading route that came from the north of Bavaria, south here to Lake Constance, this route ended here at the harbor, and all the goods were then transported by the boats to the other side. This is our town hall. It was built 1422 at a time when Lindau had its climax as a trading town, its first climax as a trading town with the trade with Italy. And it was built in the style of Gothic, as you can tell by the entrance down below. But when you look further up, you see also the alterations of the Renaissance time. Also those roofed stairs going up, they are from that time. And the paintings are only from 1972. But there had been paintings already on the facade when the town hall was built, but they changed, they faded due to the climate influence, and so they always had to be redone, and these were redone 1972, and they show town history in this frieze running from one side to the other. Lindau was a free imperial town since the 13th century, and Maximilian I, the Habsburg emperor, held a meeting of all imperial representatives of all imperial towns here in Lindau, 1496. Yeah, this is the north side of the town hall. People always keep asking me which is front and which is back, and I don't make the decision. I always say what we saw before is the lake side, and this is the town side. And here you also see those beautiful frescoes from 1972. Around the clock, these are coat of arms of Lindau citizens, of Lindau noble families. And then you see the coat of arms on the left of Bregenz. Up above, the two fish. This is the coat of arms of the Switzerland town Borcha. The other one you can't see now. All the way up, this is again the coat of arms of Lindau. This is our main street, and today it is called Maximilian Street. In former century, they simply named it Main Street. But then Maximilian II of Bavaria built the railway all the way down to Lindau. And so he was so important for the town. He also then later built the harbor. And so we gave this name, the name this street, the name Maximilian Street. And here are very beautiful old houses. One old house is being restored at the moment. It is from 1396. And you see those arcades in front. They are typical for medieval houses here in the area, also on the other side of the lake in Switzerland. Yeah, this is St. Peter's Church. And evidently it was built by fishermen who had a settlement here already in the 9th century when the convent of the noble ladies was built here on the island. And we don't know exactly, but we think around that time of 1000 the church was built. And inside are beautiful frescoes. And then you see next to the church a beautiful tower, and it was built in the 14th century, and it is called Thieves' Tower because it was used as a prison for some time. And it also was used for centuries as the pillory. So everybody who had done something wrong here was punished here.
They were put in the pillory and yes.
In the pillory, yeah. At the pillory. And it is called Körbler in German, which comes from the word Korb, which means basket in English. And the delinquent was put in a basket halfway up the tower to the other side, to the western side, which we don't see from here. There's a larger opening in the tower, and there was a hoist and a rope and a basket hanging on this rope, and the delinquent was in that basket and then dunked down into the water channel that was behind this wall and the tower in the direction west.
So on this side we've got the War Memorial from the Second World War and the victims of the Nazis. And down here we've got some much older paintings.
Here inside are beautiful frescoes, and they were painted at the end of the 15th century, around 1480, 1490, we don't know exactly. And we assume that they were painted by Hans Holbein the Elder, a very famous German painter. And they show the Passion of Jesus Christ. And this church was used after the time of Reformation as an arsenal. So it was not used as a church anymore because we had a much larger church at the market square. And so these frescoes were forgotten for centuries. And only in the 19th century people remembered the rumor in the population a painter had been working in that church. And so they took everything out that was stored in here and found the frescoes, but they looked completely different than what we see today. Similar to what we see down below, you could hardly recognize anything anymore. And what we see is a restoration of 1967 a last attempt was made to restore the frescoes, and this attempt was successful. And so we can now see the Passion of Jesus Christ. And during the restoration, when the restoring team came to the last picture over there, they found a signature. And this signature, you see, I have to take my laser pointer out. Here you see the death body of Jesus Christ, and on his left you see Maria Magdalena kneeling in front of him. And when you go from her face to her shoulder, she has a blue sleeve over there. And underneath this sleeve you see a gray ribbon. And here are 2 H's, and this was a reason to assume Hans Holbein the Elder might have been the painter of the frescoes, but we have no real evidence that it was him. This is the old Schrannen place, Schrannen Square, where the grain or corn was delivered to here and then from here transported to the harbor to be shipped to the other side of the lake. And here are beautiful old houses. You see the tower of St. Peter's Church, and you see beautiful old houses from the 15th century on the left. And underneath one window, can you see it from here, is something. And this is actually a basin, or at that time, in medieval times, it was the basin, because behind this window was the kitchen. To pull everything in there, you didn't need in the kitchen anymore. And then it came down on the pavement, and once a week it was brushed to the lake, then from a man who had this job to do this once a week over the whole island. And down below is a new fountain, and it is showing the 5th season here in Lindau, Carnival. This is a rather new fountain representing the time of Carnival, our 5th season here in Lindau. It is in February, and here in front, this is the group representing our farmers who are cultivating fruit. That's why they are wearing a wooden carved apple on their head, or a wooden carved pear on their head. And the left one, this group, they are about hundreds forming one group, and they are called the seaweed ghosts, if I can translate it. And they open Carnival on the 11th of November. And the other group back there on the wall, they are chasing winter away. And the most beautiful ones for me is the right lady, and they are wearing a white suit, a white linen suit, embroidered all over with beautiful colorful flowers. And they have those bells here in the front hanging on leather bands. And then the whole group, about 100 people, are jumping in one rhythm, and then those bells ring, and this is music for our ears here, starting the Carnival season.
We've got this very curious sign outside this guest house, and it's nothing to do with the Jewish religion. It means that the wine which is served here is duty-free. And apparently you can also see, for example in Vienna, a similar sign which is at the pauper's graveyard. It shows not exactly duty-free, but it's the place where people were buried who didn't have enough money to be buried and pay for it by themselves. So that was put by the local authorities, and this was a place where the Suntzen family met and who were quite well to do.
This is our market square, and it has a little bit different buildings than the other parts of the island, because a very devastating fire was here in 1728, and 46 houses here in the eastern area of the island were destroyed during that fire. Also, the left church, it is the Lutheran church today, and was built already in the 13th century, but it has Gothic-styled windows because it was enlarged around 1500. And on the right side, this is the church that belonged to the convent and was completely rebuilt after this fire, 1728. Here we have the Haus zum Kawatzen, and it got its name from a family, from an Italian family. Lindau was trading with Italy, and so this Italian family came here and had the first house built on this place, but their house was also destroyed during this fire. And then a noble family from Kempten came to Lindau and had this beautiful town palace built for their family. And 1929 they sold their house, and a very well-to-do Lindau citizen bought it and gave it as a donation to the town of Lindau, and since then it has been our museum. Okay. Ja.
This railway embankment was built in the 19th century for the railway, and quite amazing really. Now, obviously it was built for the port, to get goods to the port, but the amount of work to actually do this, and it would seem that this was done because the Bavarian royal family wanted to live in Lindau, so they gave it support to the development of it as a port rather than to use somewhere over there, which perhaps would have been a bit more logical. But a huge amount of work must have gone into it to actually make it. So we've got 4 lines going in, and all this area here too as well. Now, a major station such as Lindau and Lindau Island has a population today of 3,000 people. A new station's been constructed, which is outside of the island on the mainland.